Everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share a design team project with you guys for Top Flight stamps. I got this adorable farm animals stamp set by Craft from Top Flight Stamps, and I just love how Craft does these fabulous expressions on their little critter stamps. And they have a bird set, a dog set, a cat set, a monster set, and this latest one that I picked up was the farm animal set, and I think it is fabulous. So great for casts or clean and simple cards that are funny or punny, whatever you want to call it. And I use this cow as well as this donkey for a couple of cards that I wanted to share with you guys. It is a cast card that it's basically really simple. I printed this sentiment out on my computer, stamped this little guy out, colored him with my Copic markers, put him on a field of grass, and I put some glossy accents on his teeth and on his horns for just that little extra bit of shine. So this says, my grandfather was a knight, and then inside it says his name was Sirloin. And this little steak set stamp is actually from this Lawn Fawn Let's BBQ. It's this little stamp right here, and I thought that was perfect for the inside of the card. Now, I know this is not sirloin. This is, I think, a T-bone. I don't know. I'm a vegetarian, but in any event, I thought that made a cute little punny card. And then the other card that I made was Hope Your Father's Day Is. And then for this card, I stamped out this little donkey. And then this is actually a diamond die. It's from the Diamond Die Karate #1 set, which has this, and this in the set. And I use this little guy that's a karate person doing a really high kick for this little kind of pictograph. For the part that, you know, where his foot hit something, I use the Tim Holtz shatter stencil and use this part of the stencil with some Tim Holtz Distress ink so that it looks like he's not just floating in the air, he's actually hit something and it's shattering. And basically I stamped out the donkey, put a mask on him, did some ink blending for the shattered look, and then die cut out with some fun foam and then with some yellow cardstock, and then put some shadows underneath it. And I printed out on my computer again, Hope Your Father's Day Is Kick Ass. And that's the finished second card. I'm going to attach here a process video of how I created both cards. I hope you enjoy the process video. And if you're interested in making a purchase of this super cute stamp set or the stencil brush that I use for the ink blending, the Clarity Stamp Stencil Brush, please check out Top Flight Stamps, and I will put a link in the description box below. So these Craft stamps come unmounted. It's red rubber, and what I did this time, rather than taking the time to mount them on the cling foam, I used Aleene's Tack It Over and Over glue. And you just brush it onto the back of the stamp, and then you wait until it turns clear. It comes on kind of white, milky, and when it turns clear, it becomes really tacky, and you can use it just like you would mounted stamps. But you saw there for a minute that I put the foam piece back into my MISTI so that the depth of this would be correct. I've done the same thing with this stamp with the cow. I have put that Aleene's Tack It Over and Over glue on it, and I've mounted it onto my MISTI, and it comes off really clean, by the way. Once it goes clear, it works really fantastic. And for storing it later, I just put it on some, like acetate. So I've stamped those two animals, those farm animals out, and this is the inside liner piece for that cow card. And I'm using a Lawn Fawn little T-bone steak here for this one. And using the MISTI lets me stamp it out multiple times. And here I'm going back to that Father's Day card with the donkey. I've fussy cut out a little mask. It's not stamped well, as you can see, but it really doesn't matter. It's just a mask. And here I show you that I am positioning that karate die cut. It's cut out of fun foam. And I just wanted to find the right positioning for it before I stenciled on kind of this shattered glass look for the background. And that's going to go from kind of the middle of the card toward the top all the way kind of out until it blends really well with the white card front. And using this Clarity Stamp stencil brushes is great for getting a really soft, even blend. Now I'm using some wet glue to glue on that karate kicking die cut piece there. And I've decided to start Copic coloring this donkey. And I'm using it kind of a peachy color. I wanted kind of a trio of colors on this card that are kind of softer versions of the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. So for the donkey, I'm using kind of a peachy tone with a brown, like an orangey, peachy brown for the darkest part. And there you see me blending on the next color so that E02 is the mid-tone and then the E01 is the lightest color. And it's just really quick Copic coloring. I laid down the lightest color, went to the darkest, and then blended with the mid-tone. I'm just using an N2 here to create shadow lines where the kicking person and the donkey are standing, just so that they're not floating in air. I'm using a C1, a cool gray, just to give a little bit of shadow to the teeth of the donkey, and then I'm using some warm grays for the kind of muzzle or snout part. I don't know what to call it for a donkey. A W1 and a W3 to give it some shadow for just that front part of his nose or mouth area. The tongue, I'm using an R14. And then I forgot to color in the really skinny legs and the tip of the tail. So I brought out that darkest E97 for that. I gave him blue eyes just for a little blue repeating from the shattered glass background. And here I'm going to put a yellow cardstock karate kicking guy on top of the fun foam. And I just distress inked with squeeze lemonade around the edges, just so it has a little bit of shadowing rather than just a flat yellow. Now I'm just doodling in a plus sign so that you get the pictograph of the kicking and the donkey together to make kick-ass. I've also just added some black details to the mane and to the hooves as well. Now I'm moving on to the cow. I'm making this cow white, basically, with some black spots. And you see I'm coming in really pretty dark. This is a W3. I'm using kind of almost a mid-tone for the shadowed areas, but I'm blending out with a W1 and then a W0. So overall, it comes across more as a white cow, even though it's not white, really. And I like doing that because it looks more realistic, even though this is a totally cartoony cow. And it pops more from the white card front. I'm using W7 and W9 for the spots on the cow. I decided the top of the spots, I'm using the W7, and the bottoms of the spots where it might be a little bit more shadowed, I'm using the W9. It's reading almost black, which is what I wanted. I also decide again for the teeth to give it a little bit of shadow along the lines of the teeth with a C1. And then I decided for this cow, rather than just doing a plain shadow, I thought I would add a little pop of color and have him or her, it's unclear, with horns and with udders. I'm not sure if this is a boy or a girl, but I decided to give him a field or her a field of grass. So I'm using a YG25 for just the base color and then a YG17 for little sprouts of grass coming up. And I decided I wanted even more. So rather than go back to the YG25, I'm going to add a lighter green, a G43, to extend the idea of the grass so that it's more almost like a third, the lower third of the card. And I think adding that lightest tone, even though it's not fully colored, it gives the sense that this is a much bigger field. Decided to color the udders an R30, which is a really pale pink. Then I'm moving on to the inside of the card where I have that T-bone steak coloring in the red parts with an R14 and then the side white fatty parts with a W0. Just getting in the indentation and the edges. Now I'm using my tape runner to mount that on a card base, and I flipped the card base inside out so that it would have a green inside liner, which I thought would repeat the grass of the front of the card, and I've placed the inside liner in there. And then just for some detail, I thought I would add some glossy accents to the teeth and the horns of both of the farm animals. And that's the 2 completed punny cards. I hope you enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day.